How's retirement?
Tournament?
How's the retirement?
Oh, retirement. Well, actually, it starts, I guess my last day's Friday. So still trying to get everything out of the office and get it all cleaned out. Just kind of took my time. So I guess Saturday will be the official day of retirement.
Coach, talk about your relationship with Coach Ostrander during his time with you. Just what he means to you as a person, what he means as a coach to the program.
Well, I think it was a great decision on my part. I knew that. You know, when Coach Federico left to go to the University of Louisiana Monroe, I always knew that if he left, that Christian Ostrander would be the coach that I would go after, not knowing if I would get him or not, but I built a relationship with him through the years. Actually, in '92, before he went to Mississippi Delta, he came and worked out with us at Meridian Community College. So that's when I first met him, but I knew he was a quality individual, and I watched his progress as a coach from Delta State to Arkansas State. We crossed paths in recruiting, and I knew his knowledge of the game was there. I knew he was a young guy that was aspiring to be a head coach one day and continue to work in this field to get better. And certainly the day that I called him to invite him to come over and entertain the thought of being our pitching coach was a great day for me and obviously for him.
When did you know that he was the guy to take over the program?
Way before the job ever came open. You know, I watched him at Jones. Of course, we had Andrew Pierce, one of his guys from Jones, and had a few others. And they were well schooled on the game of baseball, highly competitive. You know, they represented everything that you wanted as a coach to represent moving on to another level, and that certainly says a lot about him and his coaching staff and how he ran things. So just being able to watch at the junior college level from where we were and how he developed guys told me that he was certainly going to be a good fit for us if that job ever came open.
Coach, when you were looking for a pitching coach initially, what stood out about him that you wanted to give him a thought?
Well, I think, you know, one thing you have to understand, it's not about the X's and O's as it is about the character of the person and what they bring to the program and the development of our young men. We just don't think about wins and losses. We think about what's going to happen to these guys when they leave baseball or they leave Southern Miss. We want them to be good fathers, good husbands, everything that you heard him talk about, we've talked about for years. So that part of the coaching side and the development side is very important to me and all of our assistant coaches, and certainly I recognize that in Christian and the things that he was doing at Jones Junior College, not only on the field but off the field as well.
Coach O was talking about how he's not afraid of confrontation. Do you have a little bit of insight into that into the clubhouse?
No, you know, I mean, I just think that's his competitiveness on it. You know, I think he's much calmer than what that may have come across, but you know, he's not afraid to challenge his own pitching staff. You know, I watched that for 6 years to step it up. I mean, that's what he was responsible for and accountable for. And he certainly wanted those guys to feel the same, and he'll do the same as a head coach. Now that he's going to be over everybody, not just the pitching staff, but the entire team, the entire coaching staff. You know, it all falls on his name and what he does, and it has, you know, with me, it had with Coach Palmer, with Coach Denson, and everybody else. If you're a head coach, there's a lot that falls underneath you, and it all points back to you. So there's no doubt in my mind that he'll represent that well and carry what we've been able to establish here, continue on into his team.
Coach, what size shoe do you wear?
I wear a 13, a big shoe, So,
Coach, what are some things that you admire the most about Christian Ostrander, and how do you think he'll bring that and help elevate the team further?
Well, I think just the man he is. You know, what encompasses him, his character, his personality, how he can communicate, the belief that he has in his players, the trust that they have in him. And, you know, it's not always the pat on the back. You know, it's the kick in the rear. It's the things that you have to have a feel for to get the best out of people. And certainly that's what he has and exhibits. And he'll be great moving forward into a new role and a new chair and a very important chair. You know, that head coach chair sets much different than that assistant coach chair. And I've sat in both of them, and there's a big difference. But he's earned the right and deserves the right to sit in that chair and run this program how he sees fit. And there's no doubt in my mind that he'll do a tremendous job at that.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, Coach.
Who's first?
Well,
When did you know Oz was the guy to take over the program?
You know, I think as I mentioned, you know, for the past couple of years, I think I knew when the time came that that's what Scott's desire would be. And so that really kind of came to a head maybe in August of this past year, where Scott just said to me, hey, I think this is going to be it for me. You know, I'm ready. And then we began to talk about what that really looked like from an official standpoint. And so I think it did give Christian an opportunity to go through the year and kind of understand that he was going to be taking over, and you know, whatever that means from a recruiting standpoint or decisions that are made. And I think Scott did a great job of making sure he was involved. And so yeah, so it's been, you know, probably knew it for a couple of years, but officially, you know, 8 or 9 months probably.
It's almost feel like one of the most no-brainer hires you've ever had to make when it came to who was next in line.
Yeah, you know, it does, and I want to be careful how I say that, because you know, it doesn't mean there's not a lot of thought that goes into that and a lot of seriousness, you know, how serious the hire is. But I really think it's good fortune and some calculated decisions. To have the right person in the program to be able to take over is you know, such a advantage to continuing the level of success. And so yeah, when we got to that point, it really was pretty easy because all the work had been done beforehand. And so for me, and you know, the difference with Christian is that when you hire coaches, you try the best you can to do background checks and call as many people as you can and get an understanding of who they are and the places they work. Well, for me, you know, I've known him for 30 years and we've stayed in touch for 30 years. And so that part was a whole lot easier. We kind of knew that he knew what he was about, knew what he was going to bring to the table. And so in that way, it was pretty easy.
Jeremy, just his time at Delta State, how Coach Kinnison, Marchand, and Drew Ferris, being around those baseball people, how do you think that maybe shaped him?
Yeah, I think that had a lot of impact on who he is. And really, that program is, and I've said this many times over the past few weeks, that program is not that different than this program. Than Southern Miss and Delta State, there's a lot of similarities. And so I think the work ethic, the blue-collar approach, the no job is too small approach were really things he learned at Delta State and kind of ingrained. He said this in his comments, you know, you either figured it out there or you didn't make it. And so he figured it out pretty early, and I think those guys at Delta State have a huge impact on who he is today, along with the other people, especially Coach Berry in his career. But I think it has a huge impact.
You spent time with Oz at a competitive level at DSU. Kind of knowing what better than most. Can you talk about that competitor and how that started as a coach? So,
you know, I think probably one of the most underrated things about him that people don't quite understand is how competitive he is. He was that way as a player, as a pitcher. He was a guy that was always trying to get better. He was a guy that was never afraid. He's a guy you wanted out there when the game was on the line. He was that kind of player. And that just carried over into coaching for him. I think he became that kind of coach. He became that guy that loved the game being on the line. He loved making those decisions. He loved living in that moment. And I think that's really made him a great coach. And, you know, and so, yeah, I think that translates. The competitive nature for him is something that comes very naturally.
What was, have you seen it, the players' reactions whenever
Yeah, so I think they were all excited. I think they all knew when we sat with them and said, Coach Berry told them this was going to be his last year there late in the year. I don't think there was any surprise, although we didn't tell them at the time because we wanted that to be about Coach Berry. They all knew, and I think they were all excited about that. And so I think to a person, they're all very excited about carrying on what they've been working on and really, continuing to build on the success.
Jeremy, a lot of slam dunk hires when it comes to Southern Miss athletics. How does it feel that you've been able to contribute to the rise and the current state of Southern Miss athletics to this point?
Well, hiring coaches is not a perfect science. No one bats 1,000. But when you find the right people, you try to get them in the right places, you try to give them the right resources, and you try to hang on to them, right? And so that's been what we've tried to do is try to get people who really fit who we are. And we've had some success in doing that. And I think we've got some people in place that want to be here. And they want to see this place be its best. And I think that's all I can ask for. So our job now is to try to support them at the highest level we possibly can.
Thank you very much.
Good. Thank y'all.
First of all, congratulations. Just kind of talk about what it means to you to be named, the next coach at USM.
Like I said earlier, it means everything. This opportunity, this program is such a strong national brand and stuff. To get the opportunity to lead a program like that is very special. But then you top it off. Been here 6 years and very invested in it, and and my relationship with Coach Barry and the trust that they have, for me to be the next guy, means the world to me. So very excited about that.
You mentioned the work culture a few times, and the fact that you don't have to come in and build a new one. It's already here. Talk about the importance of that.
Yeah, a lot of times people are standing up there at that podium, and you got to change a lot, and try to get back to things. But it's kind of established and set here, and I think that's why it is important. Maybe people the succession, how it's been of people that's been here. So it's a continuation. It's a growth with continuing with growth. It's a mindset. It's not an overhaul. It's not a blood transfusion. Just come in and continue what's been going on.
You've had some coaching opportunities along the way in your time here. Just what made you stay?
Honestly, I knew what I wanted. I wasn't interested in, going and being a pitching coach at the next level, and stuff. I knew I wanted to be a head coach, and I wanted to have an opportunity. And if it was in the good Lord's plan and things worked out here, I might get that opportunity here. And it was a place when you work with people that you love and it's easy to come to work with. These 6 years went by in a heartbeat and stuff. So I was happy. My family's happy. It's a great place, great program. So I'm very glad that I chose patience and with it, because this is ultimately what I've been working for in my career.
Coach, just to that point, what have you learned about Southern Miss and what you can accomplish? Like you said, you can make it to Omaha from Southern Miss. You can accomplish everything you want to.
Well, I think it's proven, here that, we can compete at, the highest level. It's not easy. It's not easy to be one of the 8 teams that gets to Omaha. It's not easy being one of the 16 teams playing or one of the 64 in the tournament. So you got to earn every bit of that, but you can do it here. It's been proven over and over again. So, that blueprint's there and stuff. So you don't have to figure that part out, but you don't sit on it either. You don't take it for granted. You got to push it forward, and you got to keep building and growing it. So, to me, it's like everything is in place. You have the fan base, you have enough facilities, you have great facilities, you have a great location, and the success and track record speaks for itself and helps in recruiting. So everything is in place for us to continue to be successful. It's hard to put a definition on that, but we know what our goal is every year.
Coach, taking you back to Pete Taylor Park final, Scott Barry's final game, just kind of the emotions through that, and kind of almost transfer the guard.
A lot of emotion, because like I said, I care about that man greatly, and we've known this was coming for a while, and really all spring, and me, not that I need any motivation to try to do good or be successful, but there was extra motivation because we knew, and we talked about it as a staff. We want Coach to go out on top, man. We want him to go out on a good note. He deserves that with what he's done, and maybe a little bumpy early, but we kind of righted the ship and got rolling. And I'm so thankful for that. So to see him, even though it was a loss that last game, nothing to put our heads down. We did everything we could this year, and I think our guys played their hearts out for this program, this university, but more importantly for Coach too.
You talk about this team. There's going to be a lot of turnover with the draft, graduation. Can you talk a little bit more specifically on just the incoming class and what you're trying to add?
Well, it's been a work in progress since the fall. We got a really strong group of high school players coming in, like we will every year. We sprinkled in some junior college guys, and here lately we've added a couple portal pieces. We're not done, I don't think, but we're close. We're getting closer. We got a few irons in the fire there. Obviously, you don't know what the roster will look like till that draft's over. I mean, we have, we're always going to be a program that have guys in that mix that will they or won't they? It depends on where they fall, if they sign and what kind of money it's offered to them. So, honestly, truthfully, we won't know what that final roster will look like until probably about 3 weeks from now or beyond, once the draft's over and stuff. And don't get me wrong, we want those guys that get that opportunity. That's what it's about. Coming here, grow and develop, and get a chance to go play professional baseball. I think that's an objective and a goal you want to have for them. So happy for them.
Coach, not everybody achieves their dream job in life, but for you to stand up there and say, this is my dream job, what does that mean to you?
Just special. Again, a lot of people probably wouldn't believe me and say those things. My route, my path is different.
Never had an agent, never had, I was going to do it my way and whatever that meant, and so forth. And thankful that I did. And I think that that led me to here because I think that's what Coach Berry was all about, that's what Coach Palmer was all about, and Vincent and those before him. So it is a dream job. It's a good fit for me, and I believe I could be a good fit for it as well. So it's very exciting to be able to get that opportunity to be at a place that you want to be.
Coach, you talked about your time at Gulfport and then your time at Jones College, high school junior level. How did that change who you were as a coach and kind of influence who you are as a coach?
I just grew. The pitching coach that I was, or coach that I was 20 years ago is a lot different than one now. The one I was 10 years ago is a lot different now. And I think just through experiences and the successes, failures, different levels. I've been at the high school level, D2 level, JUCO level, Division I, and I think you see things differently. So I really believe that, all my stops along the way has prepared me for, anything that can come your way and so forth. So very thankful for my path, and I wouldn't do anything different if I had to do it over again.
Coach Berry said that you wore a size 13 shoe. Does that sound about right?
I thought it was 14, but it might be a 13. No, it does sound right. Just joking with him on that, but that's kind of the relationship we have.
Coach, the word continuation seems to just be thrown around. You mentioned that you're going to bring former captain Danny Lynch back onto the staff to help you guys out this year. What does it mean to have a former captain who, has been a crucial, integral part of this program the last few years back?
I mean, it's huge. Danny is one of the most infectious people I've been around. I mean, his love for baseball and the way he practices is true. I mean, since he got here back in the fall of 18. I think that's right. Yeah, fall of 18 to now. I mean, he did that. He's going to bring that same energy as a coach too, and the kind of the liaison, the buffer with the players and coaches, in which I told him I've been there. I've been a guy that got done playing with a group. Now I'm all of a sudden coaching, and there's a line. There's a line there that will help him understand and stuff. But I think it's really important and valuable when you have a guy that he might have a different pulse on some things for us as coaches. But Danny's going to do a great job. Coaching is what he wants to do. There's no doubt. I think it'll be a great one at it. I'm glad he's going to be here with us.
Two more, guys. Two more.
Coach, you mentioned getting to meet Pete Taylor's family, and you've had relationships with Hill Denson, Corky Palmer, Scott Berry. What does it mean to you to be now connected in an even greater sense to the Southern Miss baseball family?
Just like I said, it's humbling. It's an honor. It's something that I don't take lightly. That I have a responsibility, and I know that. And stuff, because there's a lot. This program affects a lot of people, and not just the university, but the community as well. So, for me, there's nothing more that I want to do to honor those men that's done it before me by going out there and doing a good job. And I know that's how Coach Berry felt, and I know that's how Coach Palmer felt, and so on and so on. So really nothing changes there. I'm going to do everything I can to honor them, this program, this university.
Coach, just you mentioned early on, Delta State and those coaches that had an influence. Who's maybe one of the coaches in your life that said you're going to kind of see yourself?
I got to say Mike Kinnison. For multiple reasons. One, he coached me for 2 years, then I coached with him for 6. That was a long period of my life, a very developmental period of my coaching career that I didn't know anything, and he's directed me, and he worked me, and I look back on it and the lessons I learned of how he handled the team, and we were successful in Division II Pro. We went back-to-back World Series for the last 2 years there, but just the stuff that I learned from him and the amount of influence he has in my life, and I can tell you countless others. Jeremy's one of them that we wouldn't be where we're at without him, for sure.
Coach, thank you.
Congratulations,
Thanks,
Coach.
guys. Appreciate it.